of insecurity in the country and thugs trying to torment, of course, city dwellers. So, beg your pardon, city dwellers. Of course, we've been seeing cases over the weekend and also this week. And the police in the dailies, be sure to grab your copies like we sampled before, that you know what, they're trying to ensure that we know the areas that are hotspots and how you can take charge of your security. And so Mr. Freddie Egesa will break that down for us and teach us today how we can take charge of our security as we operate around the city and across the country, so to speak. Rita.
Now, for a number of people, the term Chifesi, the word Chifesi, some use it in jokes here and there. Even some of you tell your friend Oli Chifesi. But in regards to yesterday, a headline in the New Vision was Chifesi gang hits Kampala suburbs. Now, it's not the first time we've had this conversation. It's not the last that we might have. And we have a number of victims who have actually been able to recount their ordeal. Now, take a listen to this.
So they came walking in a group, and I was wearing earphones, but my phone was in a jacket, and I was holding a cross bag. So this space being small, they move in a group of about 10, so they engulfed me in between, and one headed for my throat as another one tried to grab the earphones, hoping to make way with a phone. One just slit the cross bag I was holding right across my waist. So I was riding into the road, and there was an oncoming car. It's a border man who held me thereafter. So when they noticed, I had noticed who they were, they crossed the road at that very junction and made it to that side. I didn't quite see where they went off to.
Kahunde.
Take things for granted. I thought these were innocent children because they looked like young children who are from a sporting activity, because they were sweaty and looking like they were from actually sporting. So that was my assumption, and my assumption cost me quite a sum.
The weekend, social media was awash with reports of people who had been attacked by thugs in different areas around the city, especially along the Lugogo bypass. Attacks like these have now attracted the attention of the police force, which has promised to take action. According to the police spokesperson Fred Enanga, the thugs take advantage of the fact that most people do not pay attention to their surroundings and therefore only realize they are in trouble when it's too late.
You find that sometimes, traffic is free-flowing. You're in that comfort zone. You don't know that probably somebody can come and attack you. So this one should be an eye-opener, like I said, to all our drivers and motorists, road users.
And we have 8 in our custody at Shira Road Police Station and 5 at Ginger Road Police Station. These are basically youths from the age of 10, from the ages of 10, 18, and 20. All.
So that has been the trending conversation, of course, within the city, and it's unfortunate. Mr. Freddie Egesa, what did you make of the current status of security?
Of course, the gangs that come up to the level of 20, 30 is an embarrassment to the security setup, because the government has a duty to crush them out. I'll give you an example. In the Old Kampala police, a certain person was arrested with around 100 phones. Many of the phones, he did not have, he could not even. He did not have passwords. Mm-hmm. He could not account for all these phones. Now, what happened is the police built a very nice case and sent the case to the RSA. The RSA said, find out the owners of the phone, then charge the man, otherwise the man has no case. Now, that is where we start from. The police gets stuck with a would-be, because we have a very clear charge of being found with suspected stolen property. Right. If I lose this phone and I do not even know the number, I don't even have the its pattern, then you are good to go on charging me with being in possession of suspected property. Second, down the road now, here at Old Kampala the police performed. Mm-hmm. The RSA blocked them for several reasons. Now, the Chifesi people have their commanders. You carry all of them, but you recruit more. How come that we are failing to dig out that your personality? Who benefits out of the Chifesi? These are young boys, vulnerable boys, poor boys who have possibly who want to live here and there. Some of them join crime through intimidation. Mm-hmm. Now they want to live because that's how the world has found them. But who are these people who benefit out of Chifesi? That's the question, and I think so. Whether you have 100 in sales, whether you charge so many, you are not going to the gist of the problem.
So what you're saying is that these Chifesis don't operate
in isolation. They're not in isolation. They operate under commanders.
Wow.
They operate under people who benefit out of them, because whatever they get, they don't vend phones, they sell. They take them some locations. How come that our security is failing to look at these locations, dig them out, crush them, and then these boys will just dissolve?
As we talk about the fact that the gangs continue to be on the rise, we have failed as the Uganda police, a number of things have failed to be done to get to the root cause of this. Now, how do we ensure the personal safety for each and every individual? Because right now, I could be driving, I could be walking on the street, and they're going to target me. Whether it's 8 a.m., 10 p.m., it's going to happen. So how do we make sure that each and every one of us is safe?
Because when my namesake Nanga says that you have to be conscious. How can you be conscious around 440 boys? How will you be conscious when you're supposed to be on the when they can even attack road? I mean, people in a kind of in jam. How will you walk out of jam that you don't drive home? It is practically impossible that at such a stage you will even do anything. Maybe they should allow the public to carry pangas, to carry rungus, so that yes, they come out of the vehicles, engage the Kifesis, and then we sort the problem out. Yes,
I think we should take it into our own hands like that.
What I'm saying, yes, they look in my car, I carry rungu because I don't want to. Somehow, yes, let there be that situation that the public is given some minimal capacity to fight back. That should be the starting point.
So if we're fighting back, let's take an example. For a number of people we have known, for those who drive, make sure your car windows are up, make sure your doors are locked. But as we can see with what happened this weekend for a gentleman who was by the traffic lights, they threw a brick into the car.
They can do anything.
So how does a person like that now make sure they have a lungu in the car? Because in that moment you even had, maybe from the glass or from the way the brick was thrown.
Criminals are human. Criminals are persons. They have life in them. They definitely kind of run away from attack. If one man is pulling a wrong, another one is pulling a wrong. I've seen this in Kenya. People tend the public tends to engage. Because what are we going to do? Shouldn't we drive home? Shouldn't we drive where they are? Shouldn't we sit in our vehicles? If now they are advancing. Before they could pull off things off the car, now they can forcefully break into and steal in broad daylight. So meaning that as security is sleeping, of course, we have been saying that I didn't want to criticize police for about a whole year after Kayura had left, but I think I'm coming to that. Let me tell you, if we cannot handle Kifesis, how do we say we can handle terrorists? These are small boys on the streets, very disorganized, and we claim that we cannot handle them, and they are going, because Kifesis has been there for, I think, about 3 years. How come that the security is not digging and touching the base of the Kifesis organization?
What are you trying to say? Because we've been hearing these speculations, and I'm sure you as a security analyst, you've also interfaced with this information. Of course, even on social media, people saying that could be the commanders are in cahoots with security officials. How true could that be?
True or false? Because there cannot be a situation that the police is fully engaged with the criminals. There may be some bad beans here and there, but at the same time, there should be a clear policy on how to deal with thuggery, street thuggery at this level. These are not simple thieves. They should be handled. Possibly even Parliament should come up, like people who steal from accident scenes. There should be a law. There should be a punitive law. There should be a way they are handled. Because the way we handle criminals is the way they come up. Crime is a monster. Feed it well it will pick size. Harass it, you may never eliminate crime in every country, but deal with it, harass it, it will diminish. It will kind of get poorly fed and it will become smaller, and then the public will be at liberty.
As we try to poorly feed this monster that we are now calling a monster in regards to all of this, the police says they're doing their part. The police is asking that we as also individuals do our part. If I am walking along a street and I see this Chifesi maybe doing something, I have been told that if you see someone rob someone, do not jump to try and defend them. Why? Because this person could have a knife. They could hurt you. So what happens for me who's watching and see a crime go on? Because a number of times these days in traffic jam, maybe if your phone is snatched, you'll see someone jump out of a car and try to chase them. You will see a car even try to chase this person. What should this stop? Should this go on? What should people do?
Of course, many of you who watch Animal World, you have they're very sober, they're very watchful as they feed, because you may be the next meal to the nearby unnoticed predator. How do you react when there is a crime taking place? I think the best is you can possibly use your phone to take a snap, so that for future use, because you don't expect immediate help from security, you don't expect backup, but you're dealing with a team that has come from home, very organized, in good numbers, well armed with all lethal weapons, for possibly spanners, knives, surgical blades, and so many. They carry a lot of tools. So dealing with, I think attacking them will be the last thing I would do. But I would say possibly if I have a chance, I can use my phone slowly and pick images for purposes of further investigations.
How about the victim? If now, for example, the lady who was attacked, she had earphones on and a group of young men came to her and were attacking her. As a victim in that scenario, what's the first thing to do?
Of course, you have to kind of flee to safety, try to run out of their ring. You may not even fight to kind of deal with, save your items. You'd rather leave the items, run to safety, because you have been engulfed. You are within. It is not easy to advise a rat in the cat's mouth that fight like this. I'd rather say watch and be watchful, be sober. Don't of course you could see that most of the people have been attacked. Yes, like in that situation, you are moving ordinarily. You can listen to your music, but even a boda can knock you down in such a situation. So I would advise that we should be on the lookout. But sincerely speaking, when it comes to gangs during broad daylight, around traffic jams, around streets whereby they come sweeping from Nakulabie through all the Kampala, and there are so many, then it becomes a problem. Even if you may try to watch, yes, look at gates, how people approach gates. If you create a routine that at 8:30 you come and hood because maybe your house girl is sleeping, you hood 10 times. So you create a routine. You're not being sober, you're not being watchful. So a crime will take advantage of you at any moment. There should be a situation that you are conscious of your surroundings. You're conscious. Just put yourself, if you want to understand and avoid being attacked, design your mind like you're the criminal. Do you think that where you're passing is good enough for an attacking criminal? So if it is good enough, then don't use it. Or find a way you use it in such a way that you will not take a long time there. Possibly they'll open the gate quicker and things like that.
Now, as you talk about the fact that you should now start thinking the way a criminal would think, at the Daily Monitor, page 8 and page 9 as of today, and as you can see on the screens, that they have actually highlighted a few places where those are dreaded spots where thugs actually tend to torment victims. Now, for those in Mutungo, that is highlighted. Chinawataka, they're highlighting them. That those are areas you need to start going by with a mind that you could be attacked here. So what happens if I know I have to go to Chinawataka maybe at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Someone could maybe, an emergency. They've called me, someone needs help, and I'm on my way there. But I have been told that this area has a few of the Chifesi gang. Do I go with nothing? Because even if I have nothing, they will still attack me, right?
I think the biggest weapon, the greatest weapon, like as you're moving, say for instance, if you're driving, your vehicle is a good weapon. One, because nobody will have that immediate touch on your body. Secondly, a vehicle has force. Now, when you go and maybe you're like, if you're parking, make sure you face the road.
Okay.
Very basic.
So park on rivers.
Park on rivers. Okay. Make sure you have access. You have your way. Make sure the lights are on. To make sure that, and use your, like if I'm parking, I have to make sure that my driving mirror is fully. I use my driving mirror fully. I use my side mirrors to make sure that nobody's approaching. If anybody's approaching, then I'm in the move. I have to make sure, like I don't stop my engine. I have to make sure my vehicle is in D. That is drive. If it is maybe, I have to make sure it is on, the engine is on. So in case of anything that I can flee, I can even use my vehicle as a weapon, because the vehicle is a good weapon. So if you just come out and you believe that everything is fine, then there's a problem. So we should know that we can use the minimal weapons. You may carry a weapon, but you may not successfully fight against 5 or 6 robbers. But if you have a vehicle on, you could even use the vehicle and you can even run them over.
And how about in a scenario whereby you're caught up in traffic, or you are at the traffic lights, like what happened to one of the victims over the weekend on Lugogo traffic lights?
Yes, now in that situation that someone crashes your screen and maybe comes for you, I think the best is to jump out of the vehicle, because now the vehicle has become a problem. It's attacking you because you have been trapped. So the vehicle there works against you. It's like the high fences. When a robber jumps in, then the fence works against you. You need to escape, but you cannot, because your own fence which you built is now a problem. It is helping the thief to conceal himself against the public that would possibly look at him, and you cannot flee because you kind of build heaven around yourself.
Wouldn't you go with the fact that maybe when you talk about running out of the car, if you say that these people are in a group and some of them say that all they want is maybe your handbag, yes? If I surrender my handbag, because me running out of the car, I'm leaving my car to them, I'm leaving all my property within the car to them, yet all they want, and maybe they could even attack me because me running, even with my bag, will mean they'll keep coming after me.
No, okay, what I'm saying is this. Of course, let's assume they want, maybe they want valuables, and they want space to pick whatever they want to pick. Then it is safer that I pull out of the vehicle in a way that is not confrontational.
So put your hands
up. Basically use the words. You have to know the language. You speak with the criminals. You should tune yourself. Calm down.
In total surrender.
Yes, you surrender because you have nothing to do. What will you do anyway? Yes, you have been overwhelmed. You have been overmatched. There's nothing you can do. So use that language that will tell them to come. Let me get out. Take what you want. They will, because they want property, but you never know. As they're searching, you may be hurt. That's what I'm saying. If I'm attacked and I believe that I'm overpowered in my vehicle, it's better that I pull out.
Okay.
And maybe so that they pick whatever they pick, and then as I kind of run to safety.
Yes. So has it, as you come to a close, of course, your last remarks on this, is it advisable to stop at the traffic lights anymore nowadays, especially if people like us who come to work when it's totally dark at around 4 or 5 a.m. Is it advisable to stop at the traffic lights?
Be conscious, be sober, make sure you see around the vehicle. The vehicle has the driving mirror, use it, the vehicle has the side mirrors, and in case of anybody approaching the vehicle, then you have reason to take off because it's an emergency. Nobody will charge you for that.
Okay. Yes. So what you're learning today is we need to be cognizant of our environment all the time. This thing of walking with earphones, zero.
Yeah, because
pay attention.
It carries a lot of dangers. You can be knocked down by boda. You could possibly be attacked. You're not conscious. You are conscious to some regent, maybe someone doing good music, and then in the process you are hit.
Okay, now let's take it to besides the car on your way home. When you are at home, what happens? You did mention the fact that the fence that you have built could be the thing that could even be the issue as to why you will not be saved. No. So what happens there? Because personal security is also at home. What should people be doing?
If we're talking about personal security here, especially the young people, you see a girl walking with her bag at 1 and she's walking. You who is fairly trained and you're in a vehicle even scared, and for she's not, people are not conscious. So what I'm saying is, if you have to go in an area where you're not very certain, that's what I'm saying, change your mind to that of a criminal. Which locations would you use to hit at your unsuspecting victims? So it will give you a very clear mind on where to go and where not to go.
Okay, so in homes, do we need CCTV cameras now? Because
but how many can afford? This is a third world country.
So for those, what should if I can't afford CCTV?
If you can, it's very important that you have the police area, also the police area's number. You have the local defense's number. You have the chairman's number. You should have your neighbors' numbers, and there should be a situation, even if you have been having issues with your neighbors, talk around security, because let security make you to talk. So that if you stay in isolation, if you think that you are a different person and then the neighbors are not useful. So we should even start what we call the know your neighbor. Get to know your neighbor, not for other purposes, not for rumor mongering, but for purposes of making sure that in case of anything, you could respond to his alarm or you could respond to yours.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We have this victim. Of course, I just need your response on this. Now, he says, and this is Andrew, he says he's a member of a security committee, but this is his story. Now, last Thursday, they broke into 8 houses and carried out door-to-door robberies, but nobody had them. We suspect that they used chloroform. Whenever we try to arrest their members, they revenge badly by beating up more people. Now, let's talk about that chloroform aspect. These people, most of the times, they attack at night when people are asleep. So how can you defend yourself in that situation? How do you chloroform really? Just enlighten us on that front.
Saying, like what I've done, we have advised people, padlocks are no longer an issue around locking and making sure that the doors are secure. But you can use, some people have now learned to use bolts. You know, with the bolt, you use, you may put padlocks here and there, because most of these are burglar doors. Put padlocks everywhere, but get somewhere you use a nut, this small nut, bolts. You just tie it with the spanners. You know, it should be loose a bit, so that, you know, what criminals are using is that silence, is that they don't want to be noticed. So even if he came up, you know, if he's to push his hand into a hole to open your padlock, he can use that. He can use acid. He could possibly use several keys, because there's a list of keys.
Use acid?
Yeah, they could use acid to open gates, to open padlocks. But if he's to push his one hand to open, he cannot open a bolt. Make sure it is not tight, but make sure it is kind. There is a way we have decided. I'll come and demonstrate here. You know, as it tries to open it, it keeps on turning around, and maybe that is what the space you need for you to wake up and possibly raise an alarm, or possibly do whatever you have to do.
So, but with regards to chloroform, we can never save ourselves.
Chloroform you can't, because as long as, and of course, yes, he may use chloroform on you, but he does not want to bang your door. He does not want to dig into your wall, because that will be an extra kind of situation that maybe the neighbor gets to hear about, and then it comes up. So there should be a situation that padlocks are no longer, we can no longer trust padlocks, because they have kind of gone around it. Bolts, I'll come and demonstrate how that bolt will work. It is better than even padlocks. And they're very cheap.
As it stands, a few things need to change within your house. I've also heard that sometimes you can always put a knife between where the lock is, so that in case a movement is made, that knife will drop and you can hear it.
Exactly. You should create a kind of a situation whereby you'll be alerted. You'll, to a certain extent, be alerted.
So you do not get to enjoy your nights, because now a number of people are not enjoying their nights because they're trying to work a few things out. Now, from personal safety and security, what we have learned this morning is, one, if you see someone being attacked, do not attack as well. Best you could do is maybe take a picture, but do not chase.
Chasing has its own repercussions.
Okay, so do not chase, because you could also be hurt in one way or another. For those that can, if at all you're attacked at maybe at the lights or in your car, simply get up, get out of the car, surrender in a way that is peaceful, because sometimes all they want is your valuables to make sure that you are not harmed, and so much more. Thank you so much, Mr. Freddie Agesa, for joining us. I believe this morning you're more enlightened as you get into your day. Look out and be very vigilant of your surroundings today. Morning at NTV continues.
Watching Morning at NTV.
Do your gums hurt? Yeah. Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile?
Oh, that in one toothpaste?
Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums.
Ah, Colgate Herbal.